I bought a couple of new additions to my uh, game collection, my role-playing game collection, and I've not had the time. I used to like really crunchy games like Dungeons and Dragons, GURPS, the old advanced D&D. Lots and lots of rules, lots of math, lots of tables, the whole thing. GURPS was actually in some ways simpler than D&D, and yet more complicated in other ways. But I haven't had really the time to mess with them. And I used to homebrew my own adventures and stuff. And um, just I'm trying to sort of get back into them, but again, just lack of time. So I picked up a couple of these minimalist games, and they're a minimal amount of rules. Now that leans you more into the narrative and less into like the old style wargaming, which is what D&D started out with. Um, so you're more into the narrative, a little more freeform play, and so on. But they looked really interesting. Um, so now this is an EZD6, and they use just a few six-sided dice, a few simple rolls. The mechanics are extraordinarily simple. Everything's very simple. I haven't had a chance to read through this one yet, but this one caught my eye, and so I grabbed it up. I'm going to read it and see what I think about it. But the idea being that you can throw together a game very quickly. It doesn't become kind of like almost a full-time hobby. You can have a few friends over, throw some characters together, throw a game together, play it very quickly. They can pick up on it very quickly. And the main thing is just, especially if you want to homebrew, minimal prep time. Now, I just picked up another set of 5th edition pre-made quests for Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm hoping I can get around to playing that. But I really liked doing my own thing. I liked building my own dungeons, my own traps, my own ideas. So this may give me the opportunity to do that. But I've been watching the videos on the how-to on this, and it looks very interesting. So I went ahead and picked up the rules, and I'm going to give them a read through. Now this is the other one that I picked up, and I have had a chance to read through this one. This is Tiny Dungeon. Probably about the simplest mechanics you can get and still be a game, other than just a bunch of people sitting around making up stories. This is a really elegant little system. I mean, I got this one. I've read through it. Fast, simple, remarkably well balanced for as simple as the rules are. And of course, again, you got to go with the flow, go with the play, adjust, which I used to do even with the old advanced Dungeons and Dragons. But I was thoroughly impressed with this one. And now the author has come out with a number of other books. This is sort of a standard D&D dungeon crawl, whatever you want to call it, fantasy. You don't have to be in a dungeon. But he also did Tiny Frontiers, which is in a science fiction setting. Tiny Cthulhu, which is in a sort of Lovecraftian setting. And so he's got a whole bunch of them. And I want to play a few games with this one, but I about guarantee I'm going to start getting some more of these. But as I said, it's a truly elegant little system, and it's well thought out. This is the 2nd edition. So I don't know if the 1st edition, how much of an improvement there was, but as I said, this is a very well balanced, well thought out, very elegant little system, and I'm really, as I said, just so far read through, but it looks very interesting. I'd like to see how it plays, but if you've played enough of these over the years, you can sort of get a feel for how something's going to play, and the exception to that is stuff like Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, GURPS, there's a few other games where they are so complex, nobody's going to use all the rules. And so you end up fudging a lot of stuff in house rules and whatnot. So you're not really playing the game, but you pull out of it what you want, which GURPS was designed for. You pull what you want out of it. But this thing, as I said, is just, the aesthetics are quite good. And the book itself is quite nice. There's some really pleasant art in it and everything, and it's got a little section on the actual mechanics and rules. Then the rest of it are settings, but it is so simple. But now again, if you're somebody that needs to be told how to do everything, this one leaves an awful lot to the game master and the players. And if you're into the mechanics, you probably want something different. But if you're into the narrative, because this is going to lean a lot more heavily into the narrative, and at that point you can do whatever you want, and this just gives you a nice background mechanic to make it a game and to leave something up to chance. But anyway, so those are 2 of my newest acquisitions.